This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey Net Control Station for this evening's session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Is there any emergency traffic before we start the net? Okay, hearing none, QST, QST, QST. This is Jerry, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, Net Control Operator for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, originating from the Maltese Islands. This net meets every 2 weeks on Thursday at 8 p.m. Central European Time to discuss topics related to amateur radio and the island's ham radio clubs. This is a directed net, and all traffic should go through net control. Special thanks to 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox Stephen and 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha Anthony for making this possible. To 9H5 Sugar Nancy Marco and 9H1 GP Mark for allowing the use of the 9H1 UHF-R repeater. To Antoine, 9H1 US, and Herbert, 9H1 DH, for allowing the use of the 9H1 DMR-R repeater, and to 9 Hotel 1 Yankee Victor, Glenn, for allowing us to use the same branding as the 9H-HAM radio Facebook page, which he administers. Our agenda, as always, is check-ins, any announcements, and the general discussion. The topic for tonight's discussion is vintage radio, presented by 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sugar, Fortu. As you very well know, Fortu has been fixing and renovating radios for a very long time, and we'd all like to hear about that. And he will be giving us a presentation later on in the net. This is Net Control, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. I will periodically pause for late check-ins. Okay, thank you for all who are attending the net this evening. Good evening to everybody. I hope it's not terribly warm where you are. It is quite warm here, and I hear that it's pretty warm over there too. So let's start the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Let me take check-ins from any and all stations, but please leave a 5-second pause between check-ins. Again, taking check-ins right now, this is November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet.
Jerry, good evening from our side. This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox. The name is Stephen. No traffic, and thank you for this evening's net.
Thank you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. The name is Anthony Fenech, and I have no traffic. And good evening and good afternoon to everyone, according to which time zone you are in.
On my Fox operator's name Walter, no traffic.
Yes, good evening to everyone. Standing by, over.
Nine H1 FBS, good evening, Net Control. Good afternoon to you and everyone else. 9H1 FBS. It is still warm here, so.
Nine Hotel 5 Tango Sierra, Traverse here.
Okie dokie. I have 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, 9 Hotel 1 Mike Foxtrot, 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sugar, 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra, and 9H-5 Tango Sugar. Let's take another round for check-ins. Any check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? This is November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. Okay, I'll take another pause. I didn't hear anybody except the repeater ID. Any other check-ins at this point in time for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Okay, hearing none, I have a couple of reminders. The first one is anybody can listen to this net as long as you are on Malta on the 9H1 or through the 9H1 DMR repeater, and you can also check in through there. Also, if someone just wants to listen to the net, listeners can also monitor a live stream on YouTube, on the YouTube channel named 9H-HAM GlobalNet. So it's also being broadcast live on the YouTube channel. Let's see. Let's take a third call for any additional check-ins, and then we'll go down the list and say hello to everybody and see what's going on. This is November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey, standing by for any more check-ins. Okay, hearing none, I'd like to think that everybody's like right near the water, al fresco, a nice cold drink, rugiada, maybe a granita. That always sounds good. Memories of childhood. Let's go down the list now and see what everybody is doing, and hopefully everybody's had a good week. Hopefully it's not terribly hot, but it's warm over here. It's going to go up to 35 degrees Celsius today and for the next foreseeable future, and or as far as the Weather Service can predict. So let me pass to 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Foxtrot. Good afternoon, actually good evening to you. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll pass it over to you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Jerry. Good evening. Good evening to everyone on the net this evening, and very nice to be back on. Again, just had a problem with the computer there, and just had to duck underneath the table and plug everything back in. Partly that I hit my head underneath the table, but it doesn't matter. At least I fixed up the computer problem there. Okay, Jerry, very good. Thank you again for this evening, and I'll pass it back to you, back to my controller, Jerry.
Very good, Stephen. I hope you don't have a headache out of that, but thanks for joining us this evening. Anthony, 9H-5 Fox Alpha. Any big plans for the weekend? To the beach, in the shade. Portable fan, cold cooler with drinks in it. Am I convincing? 9H-5 Fox Alpha and the net. November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Yes, I have one plan for the weekend. I'm migrating to the nearest cold room I can find and spend it right in there, because the beach isn't good enough, cold drinks aren't good enough, and I think it's only a cold room which may perhaps keep my my physiology running and my and going. It's been terribly hot. No AC seems to be good enough. I'm in a very grumpy mode. Back to you, Net Control. And thanks for this evening. Thanks for hosting this evening's net. This is 9H-HAM 5 Foxtrot.
Well, I hate to say this, but the older we get, the more the heat messes with us. But grumpy with a smile, not a bad thing, you know? You could be in broadcasting. As long as you have a smile, the people listening won't know, and they think you're happy. And that's the way to go. Who wants to hear anybody on radio with a sad voice? Very good. Well, a big ramissa, nice fan, continuous service of cold drinks. There you go. And so goes the weekend. Very good. Thank you, Anthony. Walter, over to you. 9 Hotel 1 Mike Foxtrot. Good evening. And 7 APW with the net.
Jerry, and 7 APW, 9H-HAM Mike Fox determining coordinator. As Anthony was saying, it's really warm. Right now it's 31 degrees C. So I'm standing under a fan here, and hot air is circulating. Well, the weatherman said that we experienced a heat wave, and it should be better in July. Just keep our fingers crossed, and we'll see. Back to you there, Jerry, and 7 APW, 9H-HAM Mike Fox.
Okay, very good, Walter. 9H-1 Mike Fox with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. This is N7 APW. Let me give a pause and get some additional check-ins. Any additional check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey. Okay, I see that Jonathan has joined us and is listening in. Jonathan, welcome to the net. I hope you're having a great day and hopefully a good weekend coming up as well. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, net control station for this evening session of the 9H-HAM Global Net. I'll pass it over to 9 Hotel Echo Sugar. Thank you for doing the presentation this evening, Fortu. And that'll be coming up in a few minutes, I suppose. So I'll pass it over to you. I hope you're having a good day. 9H1ES and the group and 7APW.
Seven Alpha Papa Whiskey, this is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra. Very good evening and good afternoon, very good morning to everyone who is listening. I am 9H1ES Fortunato. Yes, today it was a little bit busy day. I had a puncture with my Toyota and went to fix it. Then I carry a cabinet radio in my room. And in the evening, I gave a lesson to the RAE student. It was from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And now I am with the Mars net here, drinking a coffee, somehow. I like a little bit coffee. Okay, good for cold drinks. But sometimes I prefer a little cup of coffee with one sugar, and keeps me going or keeps me calm. Okay, so that's it. I am in my shack here. It's very warm in my shack. The window is open. I have the antenna, portable antenna, VHF, UHF, connected with the ICOM 705. Thank you for Stephen, who gave me details to set up my 88.5 hertz toner, because I do not use it much, this transceiver. I use it also for transmitters only. Anyway, I won't keep it too long, so back to you, Jerry. Hope that you are well. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey for the group, 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra.
Yeah, very good, Furtu. It's nice to hear you. Yeah, I'm doing exactly what you guys are doing, staying inside, in the air conditioning, in the cool, a fan blowing on me, you know, and nice and happy. And with a full tummy because I just had breakfast. All righty. This is no. Oh, I was going to call my old call sign. My goodness. This is November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey, net control station for this evening's session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Let's see, who's next? Charlie. I hope you're doing well and staying out of the heat as well. 9 Hotel 1, Fox Bravo Sugar, with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Fortunato's definitely got a very, very good signal today. I wanted to remark about that. All stations coming in have very good signals today. Yeah, well, I went for an errand this afternoon about 1 o'clock, just around the corner. Grapes. It was that type of errand. Lettuce, tomatoes, you know. You'll be more hungry after this. But anyway, I have a small cart, carrello they call it here, and I put all the stuff inside. It was fun. And it was very, very hot, but it's coming down. You know, I mean, the temperature is coming down. We did not have the 49 or 50 degrees, which they had in British Columbia, and I believe parts of Washington State, but we did have it up to about, it feels like, what did they say earlier this week? Feels like 42 degrees, so it wasn't cool. But now, tomorrow it's going to be 34, feels like 36, so, and of course I don't have to tell you, the prediction is for hot and sunny. Anyway, I'm looking forward to listening to Fortunato as well, and I'll pass it back over to you because I talk too much. There was a song like that, you talk too much. Well, all right. Maybe I should try and invent or go into a rack tunet. N7APW with the 9H GlobalNet, 9H-1FVS.
Well, you are my brother, and they say we sound alike, and I don't know who talks more, you or I. Thank you, Charlie. 9 Hotel 1, Fox Bravo Sugar, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. 9 Hotel 5, Tango Sugar. Trevor, good evening to you. I hope you're doing well. N7APW. Let's go over to...
Yes, hi, this is 9 Hotel 5, Tango Sierra. Hello, everyone. Nice to hear you. I'll lower the volume from Jitsi and say hi to my friends there in Jitsi. Nice to hear you all. It's been a busy day as well here. I have a small announcement to make, and that's that's one to be careful on the scams running around at the Maltese citizens at the moment, pertaining from DHL and supposedly fake messages from postal services with the goal of scamming you all. So be very careful. They're quite obvious if you're used to URL shortening and where they point you at. But don't fall for it, okay? Be very careful. DHL normally doesn't send these types of messages. And by the way, these messages are in Maltese, so you think they're legit, maybe because they're Maltese. It's very clever bots, be careful. So that's my announcement. Other than that, beautiful hot day at summertime, a bit early, as per usual schedule. But yeah, it's been nice otherwise. So nice to hear you, Jerry, and Net Control and all my friends here online and on the air. 9H-5TS, back to you, Net Control. Thank you.
Returning. Excellent. Yeah, I remember we used to, when I was a kid, and that's a long, long time ago, but when I was a kid, we used to start swimming in the middle of July, probably because school finished around the middle of July, especially primary school, but that's another story. I don't want to date myself, but everybody knows how old I am anyway. Very good. Let me pass it over to you, Anthony, and I know Jonathan is with you, and if he'd like to say hello to the net, we'd like to hear his voice. November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Yes, there is Jonathan who will be talking on board my call sign. And there is also Francis who needs to check in. And I can see Sam on Echolink who also needs to check in, I understand. So back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Okie dokie, I got all that down. I'll pass it back over to you and to Jonathan.
November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, this is Jonathan Galliang on board of 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha. Good evening to everybody. On air and on J2 and on Echolink. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, closing.
Okay, very good, Jonathan. Thanks for saying hello. It's always nice to hear your voice, and hopefully you'll get your ham radio ticket quite soon, and you'll be able to talk with your own call sign and equipment. It's a lot of fun, as you very well know, and thanks for listening and checking in as well. Sam, I have you checked in, G1UFN from Manchester. I don't know whether you have anything for the net, but if you do, it's all yours. November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. This is G1UFN, Golf 1 Uniform. Good evening to all, and good afternoon to you, Jerry. And as far as talk between you talking and your brother talking, I think there's a big competition on that one, who's the longest. Okay, temp out here. Tajjeb ġo Manchester. Is-soltu m'għandniex xingergru. It gets too hot at night. But there again, no, not to complain. I believe you want some water in Malta, Charlie. We might send you some from Manchester. Okay, nothing to, nothing special to say. Nice to hear you all, and I'll just sit here and listen to it all. Over back to you, Jerry, and N7APW in the group G1UFN.
Well, very good, Sam. G1UFN and the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey returning. Nice to hear your voice, your smiling voice, and it's always nice to say hello. It's time for a shandy. Well, no, it's probably time for some tea. I forget how late in the evening it is over there, but somehow I'm going to go make me a shandy after the net. Otherwise, I might be talking gibberish by the end of the net, and I don't want to do that. All righty, very good, Sam. I hope it's not too terribly hot, but it's hot everywhere you go, apparently, for whatever reason. Okay, let me take a pause here and take any more check-ins to the net. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet standing by. Okay, hearing none. Francis, are you listening? I believe you were waiting to check in. This is N7APW with the net. Alrighty, hearing nothing. I will now take a pause. Does anybody have anything else for the net before 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sugar starts his presentation, which is going to be about vintage radios and everything that Fortune knows how to do a million times better than I ever will. This is November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey, Net Control Station for this evening's session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, taking a pause for check-ins or any other traffic for the net.
November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey. Please just leave a little bit more longer between each over. Please. It will make life a bit more easier for those stations that are a bit low power there, Jerry. And thank you once again. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox.
My sincere apologies for that. I do get a bit quick on the trigger, and I apologize for that. Any other traffic for the net or any other check-ins? And 7APW.
November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot Mike.
Okay, I acknowledge 9 Hotel 5, Fox Mike. Anybody else? Okie dokie. A bit scratchy into the machine, but 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot Mike, and I apologize for being a bit too quick on the push to talk button. 9H5 FM. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Okay, Francis, I didn't quite catch any of that, so let me give another pause. 9H5 FM and 7APW. And anyone on the net here, 9H5 FM and 7APW.
He's just putting up the power a bit on the radio because he's running low power at the present time.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. Anything else for the net before we give it over to 429H1ES? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll try again for 9 Hotel 5 Fox Mike. And we hope that you've increased the power a little. You were a bit scratchy. Yeah, you were understandable, but a bit scratchy. And we'll try again. 9 Hotel 5 Fox Mike with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey.
November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike at the moment is trying to up his power, and he'll be trying again now. Back to you, head control, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey.
November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot Mike.
Very good copy. Go ahead.
Okay, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot Mike. I arranged the trouble that I had. I was a bit out of frequency. That's the trouble. Okay, Jerry. Good evening to you. From the island of Malta. My operator name here is Francis, Foxtrot Romeo Alpha November Charlie India Sierra. Talking to you. Okay, much better to you, Jerry.
Okay, very good, Francis. Thank you for checking into the net. Thank you for addressing that issue. 100% copy from here, and it's nice to hear your voice, and it's also nice to know that you're doing okay. Anything else for the net before I pass it to 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sugar? This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, net control station for this evening's session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Standing by. Okay, hearing nothing, I will pass it to Fortu. He has a presentation for us on his radios and what he's best at doing there. Obviously, it looks like tonight everybody who's checked into the net speaks Maltese, so you know, you can either speak in English, speak in Maltese, a bit of both. I always manage to put stuff in like Timpana and Ajin el Forn and Arun el Forn, you know. All right, I'll behave now. 9H1 Echo Sugar, thank you for your presentation. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey with this evening session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet standing by for you. Go ahead.
Net control, break. One short comment, please.
ahead.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. I'm just seeing Mario 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta, who has just connected now through Echolink to unit control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Yeah, very good. 9H1 Mike Delta. Good evening and welcome to the net. We have our presentation, and then I'll pass it around at the end as well. So, Fortunato, go ahead. 9H1 Echo Sugar, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Okay, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey. This is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra for the group. Well, my presentation. My name is Fortunato, and I am a vintage military wireless collector. But I also collect some classic radios. Era 1950, 1960s, are fascinating also. But my collection is made, the radios are made, works with valves or tubes, right? And during all these years, I am 68 years old. I started from a young age during my scholastic years, of fascinating listening to a radio. But how I started? I started very simple. I think at the age of 13, something like that, at the age of 13. Someone, or I bought, I don't know exactly how, gave me a twin gang tuning condenser. It's a variable capacitor, twin gang, removed from a classic radio. And this one is fascinating very much, how when you make it to maximum capacitance and go to minimum capacitance, these plates do not touch each other, do not touch with the fixed plates. I started how it works, function, and so on. Because my father was a chemist, and he knows these things from the physics. He tried to make some explanation to with this tuning condenser. I spent hours and also all days looking at this tuning condenser. I started to go to evening classes, pay 50 pence at that time for 1 whole year, and I started with Mr. Kassar, Mr. Joe Kassar. We use nickname Babas, and I started learning about radio and TV at that time. We started with the Prontos, with the neutrons, and so on. But I want to keep it short. And this tuning capacitor, nowadays I know how it is called, the tuning capacitor. During the time, and I've been at Stella Maris College, there was a brother, he's still alive, brother Oscar. And Brother Oscar started teaching radio and TV also. And I showed him this tuning capacitor, and he told me that you can do a crystal set. by that time of trying to do this crystal set, I was also a shortwave listener. I had Murphy Richard receiver. I've got HRO receiver. These are military receivers. Used to buy them from the Chapu, from Zaytun, and also from the Kles and Chikuta Bolmla from Mosta. You used to go with my bicycle, £1, and you buy a receiver. And I had the B28, I had the HRO receiver, and there I used to listen to the broadcasting stations. And also with the BFO, used to listen some CW, and started the CW. My neighbor, Kakia, his surname is Kakia, he's still alive also. He was also a shortwave listener. And we made a telephone line. A telephone line means 2 wires with a carbon microphone and a handpiece from where we get this. At that time you go to telephone box, you break the handset, divide it into 2, you had the microphone, you had the handset. Connect them together and we start monitoring radio wheelers, radio RCA, VOA, radio Sydney, all over the world. That with there was the time zone, of course, the BBC and so on. And we used to send the cards, all right, the simple, and then we receive the card, and then it will be very great when you receive a QSL card and the pyramid flag.
This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey. Did 4-2 time out the machine?
Radios. I managed to obtain from Philips a schematic diagram of pocket radio, and I learned this diagram by heart. And I used to make the drawing of this diagram in less than half an hour. I draw it about 20 times or 30 times, and I learned each resistor, each capacitor, the function, and so on. And I made great success with the National Panasonic. They used to give me £3 per week. £3 per week. That was my salary. During Saturdays, we used to meet for Sontira, the church. Gaetano Kakia, me, Furtu, known as Natalino, Bonnici, and Baldacchino, Cele Baldacchino. And we start discussing regarding what we are listening, shortwave listen, and so on. One of us had the newspapers, and on the newspapers, to apply to go at the Air Force or entering the Army. And I had a battle with my father and mother. They did not want me to go in the Army and so on. But I went to St. Elmo. I placed my name. I went to Stadaforni, placed my name with the Air Force. First come, first serve. I made the exams. after about 1.5 weeks, I received from the army to go to for medical test at Mtarfa. By that time, I had so many receivers, HRO, B28. Then I obtained the TR-1985 and aircraft X-transceiver, which operate on 2-meter band also. So, at the age, because I was 17.5 years, I was able to enter the army, and I joined the army. And I spent 6 months recruiting, training, and so on. In the middle, I joined the army on the 10th May 1970. 10th May 1970. And everyone knows that I used to repair radios. One of the instructors, who was a sergeant at that time, Caruana, his name, he told me, "Hey, I have a tape recorder. Could you fix it for me?" I said, "Yes, I will fix it for you." Yeah. At that time, I did not have a car. I took this tape recorder. It was a Grundig. I remember it was a Grundig. I took it with the bus at home, and within 2 days, I fixed it. I brought it back after a weekend, and in the morning, I told them, the guys, before we went for the drill, "Hey, I have a tape recorder here of our sergeant." And everybody wanted to break it or doing something to it, and I make it on record. And this tape recorder record bad words, Maltese bad words. I forgot afterwards, that I have done these types of recording. In the afternoon, he took it with him, and the next day, I went to he called me to his office, and he was very, very angry with me. I thought it was not me, but somebody else. He told me, "When you finish the recruit, you have to go to the logistics unit radio workshop." Finished the recruit. After 1 day, I was posted at the logistics unit and started the telecommunications and radar. I showed big interest in telecommunications. At that time, all the radios were with tubes, but we had transistors. We had the RF301, we had this communication with the patrol boats. And at that time, I was a student, but placed myself on radar, show interest on the radar. I make many examinations. I've been in UK so many times. I've been in Germany so many times, and so on, making courses. And in the meantime, I continue buying ex-military radios. At that time, I lived in Djibouti. We had a big house, garden in front, and I had so many radios and places where to put. And in the army, I had the facilities to obtain parts, diagrams, and so on. And of course, continue collecting with this military radios and so on. To keep it short, I spent 32 years in the army. In 1980, when the British left, I was posted as a chief technician chief technician at the radio workshop, responsible for the radios and radars in the Army. And I spent the rest of my life in the Army working on this in this field. Of course, doing also military training, regularly for shooting training and night duties and so on, normal duties, but I was always posted at the radio workshop. I spent 32 years, then I had to left because I was at the age of 48, and I joined the marine engineering. I make a course. I went in Germany, in Friedrichshafen. I've been there 12 times, about there 12 times or 13 times, to work on propulsion, electronics, propulsion, catamarans, super yachts, and those things. And because I was earning money, good money, I started spending and importing large spec radios with use of radios and of course military radios, and now I have about 500 or 600 radios, and most of them, 3/4 of them, are working and connected. So you come to my collection, I want to hear this receiver. Just switch it on, make a tuning, connect the antenna, and you are listening or transmit. And make these radios working. But most of them are imported from UK and USA. At that time, to import an ARC, American Radio Corporation radios of aircraft, the costing was very slow. And the duty, there was a concession on the duty. There was no VAT at that time. So please pay £3. And okay, we are happy. So, but nowadays no. So I had the opportunity to buy these radios. I have aircraft radios, and I have a radar of Lancaster complete. Was made from 11 units. I am missing 2 units, but it is nearly complete now and nearly working. The radar, how it works during wartime, and I had the radios of the P-17. Everyone is invited to see them in my garage. Working, making QSO in amplitude modulation, also with USA, in AM, maximum 180 watts or 250 watts, 100% modulation, and so on. I think for today it's enough. I will continue, maybe I will continue next time. So, I hope that you enjoy my presentation. I make it short as possible, all right? So, back to you, Jerry. With Jerry, I made the course of amateur radio. It was, I think, in 1972, not 73, with Jerry and with Charlie. They are brothers, of course, 9H-1EU, 9H-1AT, and we have waited about 1 year to give us the license and so on. Till now, that's all for today, Jerry. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, this is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra.
Well, very good for 9H-1ES with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey Net Control. Yes, I remember well because I got my license in October 1974 as 9 Hotel 1 Echo Fox. And I remember it well. There were evening classes at the Technical Institute, and they were a lot of fun and very informative. And obviously they built a good base to our ham radio career, so to speak. All right, this is on 7APW, Net Control Station, for this evening's session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. I have checked in 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta. Are there any other check-ins for the net this evening? Hearing none, does anybody have any comments or questions for Fortu regarding this presentation? Go ahead.
(9H-1FBS).
9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox. I just wanted to say thank you to Fortu for the very interesting presentation there, and it was very nice to hear some old history there. So thank you once again, Fortu, and I'll pass the microphone back over to you. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey from 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox.
Okay, very good, Stephen. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, the same. I would like to congratulate Fortunato. Prosit Hafna Hafna Habib. That was really, really good. I did have a B-28 as well before I started the course. I think it was before I started the course. And I used to listen not only to CW, but also SSV on the B-28. So that brings back a lot of memories. Have a good evening, and I'll shoot it back over to you on 7APW, 9H-1FBS. Very, very well done, Fortunato.
And yes, that B-28 was the reason I got into ham radio, because my brother was a very avid shortwave listener, and he used to send signal reports to the various broadcast stations, and they'd send QSL cards and some tokens of appreciation. I remember all that. 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta, I did not forget about you. And good evening to you, Mario. And I hope you're doing well. Anything for the net this evening? And 7APW. I guess Mario must have stepped away. Does anybody have anything else for the net before I close the net this evening?
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Thank you very much, Fortu, for that very interesting presentation. I just have one suggestion. I think Fortu, I'm sure Fortu actually has a concentration of very interesting history located in his garage. Perhaps, may I suggest that Fortu perhaps sets up some exhibition once in a while, or perhaps on an easier long term, perhaps we could team up and help him set up a virtual exhibition online. So we could sort of catalog, if he wishes, this is obviously something which he would wish, we catalog the equipment which he has, and perhaps write up something about each device and put pictures online, and perhaps invite other radio hams, even internationally, to contact him for further information, because I'm sure he's got models there which have unique history and unique value, which only at the moment, he really knows. Just a suggestion. I'm ready to help if he wishes to set up some sort of virtual museum. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Back to you, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey.
That sounds like a good idea, actually, or some YouTube videos as well, and we can go on and on with that. Do you have a way of contacting Fortu? I assume you do. Go ahead.
Break 9H-1, yes.
Go ahead, Fortu.
Mission Net Controller, Jerry, may I speak, please? November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey 9 Hotel 1 Echo 0.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Long time ago, about 7 years ago, I made an exhibition in Valletta, the Italian, what you call it, palace, near Castiglia, de Castiglia. And I made 15 days. I used to go to Imtarfa also, placing some radios there. The problem is this: the equipment is very heavy. I can tell you one thing. Let's say, for example, large spec HF radio. Large spec HF radio. The power is 15 watts. 15 watts. Amplitude modulation in CW. Complete with power supply. The weight of this radio is 60 kilos. The more radios which are MEMPEX, like wireless number 38, one of them is in front of me. Right? The weight of this one, they used to carry them at the back, down at their back. Radio operator at the back. Alright? It weighed about 18 kilos, the weight of this radio. And the communication on foot were made by 3 men. And these 3 men are connected together, one carrying the radio on his back. The middle one is the radio operator, and the soldier at the back carrying the batteries. Imagine, I have radios, they call them animal pack. A donkey or a horse pack. They place the radio on, I have pictures also. Place the radio, the wireless number 62 set, the wireless number 31 set, and they call them animal pack. And they used to travel and make exercises with these radios. I am talking during the war, World War II, and also 4 years, 5 years after the war. Radios. I have all the radios which have been used during World War II. I have all of them, not the experimental one, but the one that have been used. Right? I have all of them. Then after the war, 1945, the British make a radio which is C12. All right? It is with knobs, with colors and so on. I have it all. Then they started the session radios, large spec. They are made in aluminium, but heavy aluminium. But they are very heavy. I have them, all of them. And they were finished up to 1970. Started with the Klansmen. The Klansmen are transistorized. Radios are with you. And I also have German radios, which of course after the war they've been destroyed, but I have 3. One of them is Siemens, because at that time for Hitler they used to make the factories were Siemens and Schablorens, Loofta, and I have a receiver. With this receiver they used to listen aircraft before taking off. So they monitor with these receivers, they are very nice receivers. I have one of them, and it's fully functioning. They used to listen to the aircraft before they starting the aircraft, the engines, or starting the engine. The radio operator start tuning the antenna. So the Germans listen to these stations, the station, so they are going to attack us. Then they take them, they start tuning, and they do not leave. Leave the one day after or 2 days after, but they found out that they were losing the tuning. So it was another problem. And I have one of Luftwaffe aircraft receiver, and I have another receiver which it was a base station, and I have a transmitter which I bought it not much ago, about 5 years ago. This transmitter was 150 watts. Transmitter used to operate in Labrador Bay in Canada. A submarine will leave German then I replace it with another capacitor, right, and still working it. Big tubes, 2 anodes at the top, 3 tubes, 1 free running oscillators, 2 PA, no modulation, just pulses, sending temperatures of weather conditions. To stop, Jerry. November 7 of our Whiskey 9 Hotel 1 Echo Zero.
Well, you know, you've caught everybody's imagination, and everybody is quite interested in this stuff, and it's very, very interesting and intriguing at the same time. And we'd like to thank you for all this, and we'd like to probably invite you again if you feel like it, because it's awfully fascinating, and you have a treasure of information to share. Just a note here, every 2 or 3 minutes give a pause between your transmissions so that the timers on the repeaters can reset, but that's something minor. Listen, thank you very much. I could sit here and listen all afternoon, but I know it's kind of later over there than it is here, because after all it's just past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So thank you very much for your fascinating presentation and all the information. I'm sure everybody's enjoying it, and if you don't mind, we'd like to invite you again to give an additional presentation. 9H-1EF. No, that's Michelson. No, 9H-1 Echo Sugar with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet at Nishiyahu and 7 APW.
'73s to everyone. I have to go now. Thank you very much. '73s. Bye-bye. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey 9 Hotel 1 Echo Zero sending '73s. But if you want more information, I can give you more information and interest stories in communications. Bye-bye. '73s. Four 2 process 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Process 423. Tisma l-istejjer dawk taqra l-istejjer, per eżempju ma tandi ta' ċiniżi, tisma ta' ċiniżi, x'darba nirrakkontakom ta' ċiniżi, frejn. You went well first, but that's Radio Jimmy China. Ma tisma l-istorja tiegħu, tisma l-istorja tiegħu da ta' ċina. Batuli wieħed insomma kont batu xi 300 tiegħu da. Però ħmerija taf x'inhi li m'għandix irrisiva, di transmitter m'għandix irrisiva. Kemm kienu jikkupjaw tara? Rom jikkupjaw, viri Norik Radio. Wieħed made in Germany, Ġermaniż. U liħor ta' ċina. Jew wieħed Amerikan u liħor Ċiniż. Dawn nisom l-istess, vej.
يوسع كتب يوسع ليه وزيك السريد اللوم السريدي الدنيا جميعها السريدي كفاتي يعملوا كل شيء كفاتي يعملوا كل شيء ترى أن الديسيبلين أفضل الديسيبلين هي أفضل التكنولوجيا الديسيبلين أيوة فوتو Okay, my car is good. No problem,
Taf xiet nagħmel is-sina. Mela kelli receiver, krilu għandi dan ma' snin ta' ilu għandi dan il-receiver. Ta' aeroplan ta' DF dan. Insomma, ma' dan ilu għandi xi 30 sena dan. U dejjem jiġi l-emmulaw miex kaffa l-oħra dan. U da bil-Malti tani għalih. Da receiver ta' DF ma' direction finder. Kju jieħed? Għalli, għallu ta' aeroplan, għalli ta' DF, għalli ħanera. Bissir il-number daħa fuq l-internet ma' nafx għamil, ma' ċempilli, għalli sma ta' kuwa ta' dan l-aeroplan. Għalli ta' fl-aeroplan għadu jesisti, għalli ta' fl-aeroplan għadu jtis. Uħtiblu l-dan għajjen. Għalli this belong to my father, insomma, dam, u raf il-histi fil-logbook ta' aeroplan. L-istess number, l-istess model number dak. Edda dak function, għalli dak li jom l-ispiċaw dejskem, dak iżmin ma kellhom GPS, dak iżmin bid-DF. Tifhem, u dan, nirrestawra li l-insomma. Ciao, ħallejkom, tlatlem, bye bye.
Ciao, foto żbin. Ciao l-tajjeb, u prosa ciao Franklin, forti. Forse ma rafni Frank. Ok, ma nafx jekk kellu xi ħadd ieħor Steve jew Anthony jew xi ħadd ieħor. Ok, Michael għalik forti.
Ok, ħallikom jien sal-ħin. Ciao all the best. Ciao il-kuħadd ikun min qed jisma'. Ngħid ħonieskom QRT. Ciao.
Grazie ħafna, ta' għanies, ta' għan Sugar Fox, 73 u l-lejla tajjeb.
Lejla tajjeb, Steve, ciao xbin.
Good. This is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, net control station for this evening session of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Are there any late check-ins or any other traffic for the net before I close the net? Okie dokie. I thank everybody for all the information and the questions, the comments, and everything. And I'd like to thank everybody for checking in. The public service net meets every 2 weeks on Thursday night at 8 p.m. local time. I would like to thank Porto for tonight's presentation. I'd also like to thank the repeater trustees for the use of their repeater and everyone who has checked into tonight's net. I will also like to remind everybody that Amateur Radio Newsline will be broadcast on the 9H-HAM YouTube page immediately after the net. There were a total of 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 check-ins, according to my pad, and I would like to thank everybody for checking in. I would like to invite you to check in 2 weeks for another edition of the 9H-HAM Global Net, and I am now returning the use of this repeater and all linked repeaters back to normal amateur radio use. This is Jerry, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 73s, and good evening.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2277, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Our top story this week marks the end of a de-expedition dream. The Intrepid DX Group has called off its planned activation of Bouvet Island.
The RV Braveheart, the sailing vessel that has carried many de-expeditioners to remote and challenging destinations, is being sold, and the 3Y0J Bouvet Island expedition has been cancelled. The Braveheart was to have taken members of the Intrepid DX Group to Bouvet in 2023. It was a trip that had been in the planning stages since 2016, following the team's de-expeditions to South Sandwich and South Georgia Islands. Writing on the group's webpage, Paul Ewing N6 PSE and Kenneth Obskar LA7 GIA said the ship will be sold as a result of downturn in the charter vessel business, a direct result of the pandemic. Paul and Kenneth are advising donors that their contributions are being returned to them by the same methods in which they were received, and it will take several weeks. The Hams wrote, quote, "We will continue to research other ships and possibly find another suitable vessel for a future project," end quote. Based in New Zealand, the Braveheart was the vessel of choice for numerous de-expeditions, including the Perseverance DX Group's VP8PJ expedition to South Orkney Island in 2020 and the VP6D Ducie Island expedition in 2018. Its skipper is Nigel Jolly, K6NRJ, a member of the CQDX Hall of Fame. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
Those waiting to attend the biggest radio rally in the UK will have to wait one more year.
The National Hamfest, considered the premier radio rally in the UK, has been postponed until September 2022. Organisers made the announcement on their website and Twitter accounts on Friday the 11th of June. They said that a number of factors were making it impossible to predict whether the event could be safely held in September this year as scheduled. With at least 3 months' worth of planning involved in staging the Hamfest, they determined it was wiser to wait another year. The announcement said, quote, "The organisers not only wish to act in a responsible way towards the large team of volunteers who staff the event and make it possible every year, but also towards the visitors and the partner organisations, all of whom make the event a success each year," end quote. The show is to be held as always at the Newark and Nottinghamshire Showground. The rally is held by National Hamfest in brackets Lincoln, close brackets, in association with the Radio Society of Great Britain. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
On this side of the Atlantic, another celebration of independence is about to kick off. It's the popular 13 Colonies special event, and it's back this year with a new bonus station on board.
When the colonial army fought for American independence in 1776, the French became the soldiers' primary allies. Now, the French are offering another gesture of support to the 13 colonies, and this time, by 13 colonies, we mean the annual special event by that name. As the event kicks off on July 1st, French radio operators will be adding a new bonus station. TM13COL will join bonus stations GB13COL in England and WM3PE in Philadelphia. This year also marks the 13th year for the 13 Colonies event, which will be on the air through July 7th. It marks America's Independence Day, which will be observed on July 4th. Last year, event operators made more than 202,000 contacts. This year, the improved band conditions have organizers feeling optimistic that they can beat that total, especially with some stations operating via satellite and at least 2 bonus stations using digital voice. All stations will be on HF. So be listening for K2A through K2M and work toward your certificate and the individual QSL cards, which this year will feature a ship associated with each colony, city, or country. For more details, visit QRZ.com, the 13 Colonies special event page on Facebook, or the event website at www.13colonies.us. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Sel Emby, KB3 TZD.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Sel Emby, KB3TZD, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2278 with a release date of Friday, June 25th, 2021, to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. There's high adventure at sea for a low-power beacon. Hams in India pay tribute to a silent key. And Dutch novice class amateurs welcome new license privileges. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2278 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's independent, weekly amateur radio news and bulletin service. Now reporting from Picayune, Mississippi, here is Don Wilbanks, AE5DW.
Our top story this week takes us on a seagoing voyage with a brave young man in a small boat. He's got his oars in the water and a ham radio beacon on board. Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, navigates that report for us.
An experimental amateur radio beacon is making a 3,000-mile, 80-day journey across the Atlantic Ocean in a rowing boat, its second such trip this year as the sole companion of French adventurer Guirec Soudet. The 1-watt WSPR beacon, transmitting on 30 meters 9 times an hour, is not there for Guirec's entertainment, according to Anthony, F4GOH, who built the beacon with Maurice, F6CIU, for their friend's adventure. It's designed to help keep track of him if his satellite phone fails. Guirec and his rowing boat, Roman, left Cape Cod in New England, bound for his hometown in Brittany, in France, on Tuesday the 15th of June. It was the second leg of his voyage, which began in December, when the young adventurer left the Canary Islands for St. Bart's in the Caribbean. A veteran sailor at 29, Guirec, in 2013, became the youngest person to sail to Alaska. During the first part of this latest trip crossing the Atlantic, he capsized twice en route to the Caribbean. Anthony told Newsline, "Safety is the priority," adding that the beacon has been transmitting his French call sign. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
If you've ever had a project keep you at the bench for hours, or you've had to postpone it because of technical issues, you can probably relate, if only a little, to the task just completed by ISS astronauts Thomas Pesquet, KF5FYG, and Shane Kimbrough, KE5HOD. The two, who arrived on board the International Space Station in April, completed a 6-hour spacewalk on Sunday, June 20th, to install a new array of solar panels designed to boost power supply on board the ISS. Thomas is with the European Space Agency and Shane is with NASA. The two are veteran partners in projects such as this. The installation marked their 4th spacewalk together. The walk, June 20th, was designed to complete the work the two had begun during their walk Wednesday, June 16th, which was halted by technical issues before they had a chance to complete the work. The nationwide emergency alert system in the U.S. is in for some changes as a result of some moves by the Federal Communications Commission. Cell MB, KB3TZD, picks up the story from here.
In the U.S., the FCC has adopted new rules to improve the country's emergency alert system by creating a new class of alerts while also providing ways to more efficiently report false emergency notifications. The nationwide alert system uses TV, mobile phone, and radio to get the word out about disasters. The FCC's latest move comes in response to a false notification in January of 2018 that sent out a message that Hawaii was targeted by an incoming missile, indicating that, quote, "this is not a drill," end quote. The false alert spurred hearings and an examination of steps that could be taken to prevent such a recurrence. The agency's move comes a few weeks before the nationwide test of the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. It's scheduled to take place on August 11th. The FCC is also acting as hurricane and wildfire season have arrived in the U.S., where pandemic precautions are still in place in varying degrees. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Cell MB, KB3TZD.
A collection of more than 50 civil liberties groups, public interest organizations, and media outlets is asking for a 5th commissioner to be added to the Federal Communications Commission to make it, quote, a fully functional agency, end quote. The FCC presently has 4 with 1 seat vacant. The letter, dated June 11th, asks President Joe Biden to move forward with a nomination allowing the FCC to tackle the issues before it regarding communications access and other matters. The FCC was created to be directed by 5 commissioners appointed by the President and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Each commissioner serves for 5 years, with one of the commissioners serving as the agency's chair. There was no immediate response to the letter from either the White House or the FCC. A well-known ham in India who gave his all to public service events and disaster response has become a silent key. Graham Kemp, VK4BB, tells us about him and a net held by hams in South Asia to honor him.
Hams in India are remembering a fellow amateur radio operator who was always at the ready to assist in disaster communications, from the devastating earthquake that rocked Nepal to the more recent Yas cyclone this past May. One day after Subhadeep Chatterjee, VU2CSB, became a silent key, 20th of June, an international group of hams checking into the SAARC evening net on 2 metres or via Echolink were able to share their memories of him and express their condolences. Ambarish Nag Biswas, VU2JFA, secretary of the West Bengal Radio Club, said he had always been part of the communications team at the annual Ganga Saga Mela pilgrimage. He told Newsline later in a text message, and I quote, "We've lost a diamond from our necklace. We have no words to express ourselves," end quote. Subhadeep Chatterjee was 42. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
Some sought-after changes have finally been made to the novice ham radio license in the Netherlands. Ed Durant, DD5LP, has this story.
2 hard-won privileges, extra power and access to a wider range of frequencies now belong to holders of a novice ham radio license in the Netherlands. These changes and the abolition of age-based license restrictions took effect on the 18th of June. The Government Gazette recently published the changes to the so-called N registration, and thereon, the largest of the Dutch amateur radio societies promptly posted the news. According to a translation of that post, novice operators may now use the full 40-metre band between 7 and 7.2 MHz and can transmit at 100 watts PEP on frequencies below 30 MHz. They may use the 20-metre band between 14 and 14.25 MHz, and they have gained access to the full 10-metre band between 28 and 29.7 MHz. Their privileges on VHF and UHF have not changed. Another important change is the elimination of the minimum age for candidates wishing to sit for the novice or full exam. Previously, candidates had to be at least 12 and 14 years of age respectively. The International Amateur Radio Union praised the abolition of these restrictions and on June 17th wrote on its website, quote, "Today is an important day regarding youth and amateur radio in the Netherlands. To gain more young active radio hams, it is a must that this age group actually has the ability to obtain an amateur radio license," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP.
With the help of the United States Postal Service, the sun is finally enjoying its day in the sun. Jim Dameron, N8TMW, tells us what's happening.
We hams aren't the only ones keeping a close watch on the various activities of the sun. It seems the U.S. Postal Service has taken an intense interest too, so much so that it is issuing a set of stamps bearing images from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. The stamps feature 10 images received at the observatory, including plasma blasts, solar flares, coronal holes, coronal loops, and those all-important sunspots. NASA launched its Solar Dynamics Observatory in 2010 to collect solar data, including details about the sun's magnetic field and activity on the sun's surface. On Friday, June 18th, the post office issued the stamps during a ceremony in Greenbelt, Maryland. Thomas Marshall, the Postal Service's General Counsel and Executive Vice President, issued a statement saying, "We hope these amazing stamps will help generate the same sense of wonder and curiosity about our star that inspired our ancestors and the scientists at NASA to want to better understand the sun, space, and the myriad of possibilities that exist in our solar system, in our universe, and beyond." Dean Pesnell, project scientist for the observatory, said the observatory has given us, quote, "the ecology of the sun. It's giving us the big picture, one detail at a time." That means we hams, of course, can now celebrate Solar Cycle 25 one stamp at a time with each QSL card we send. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
Just a reminder that even as hams in North America get ready for Field Day, one of the world's largest amateur radio events, Ham Radio Friedrichshafen, continues this year as a virtual event. The fair is taking place from June 25th to June 27th with lectures in German and English. The two-dimensional virtual fairgrounds is based on the original one in Germany and will feature exhibitors and special interest groups who are able to interact with visitors through video chat. Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, including the K8QIK repeater in Lancaster, Ohio, Mondays at 8 p.m. A prestigious medal has been awarded to one amateur radio operator in Australia whose name is already well known to a group there known as the Old Timers. Robert Broomhead, VK3DN, has the details.
Congratulations to Bill Roper, VK3BR, who received the Order of Australia Medal in the Queen's Birthday Honours list. The award was given for his service to amateur radio. Bill, who was recognised on June the 14th, was among 1,190 Australians honoured on the list. Since the late 1990s, Bill has been the editor of Old Timers News, the Radio Amateur Old Timers Club of Australia journal published twice a year. He is a life member and membership secretary of the club and a former president and secretary. Bill also has a long history of service to the Wireless Institute of Australia, serving as treasurer of the Victorian Division from 1962 to 1972 and Federal Office Manager from 1989 to 1993. Well done, Bill. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Robert Broomhead, VK3DN.
In the dead of winter at the South Pole, what can bring warmth to the challenging lives of research scientists working there? Why, radio, of course. Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, shares their story.
On the 60th anniversary of the Antarctic Treaty declaring the frozen continent devoted to peace and the study of science, the continent was transformed, if only for a short while, by radio. On Midwinter's Day, the 21st of June, those working in the trio of British Antarctic Territory research stations exchanged traditional gifts and then enjoyed the warmth of the BBC midwinter broadcast on the BBC World Service. In a spot on the planet that has not seen the sun since the middle of May, Midwinter's Day marks a turning point, and the comforting waves of radio will soon be followed by rays of sunshine once more. Jerry Gilliam, station leader at the King Edward Point Research Station in South Georgia, said the radio and celebrations have already brought some light into their lives. He said, quote, "We'll get messages and photos from every station, and there's a sense of wider community and camaraderie with these people we'll never meet but have something in common with." End quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
In the world of DX, the Bouvet Island 3Y0J team, which recently announced the cancellation of their 2023 DXpedition, has said they're working closely with Nigel Jolly, K6NRJ, the skipper of the Braveheart, which is being sold. This was the vessel that would have taken the team to the remote island. In an announcement at dxworld.net, the team said they're helping Nigel form a new plan that would allow him to continue managing the vessel under its new ownership, keeping the Braveheart available for future DXpeditions. The announcement said, quote, "We're working out the details of this plan and hope to have some very positive news very soon," end quote. Elsewhere, be listening for a team of operators from the North Pole Contest Group operating as W1AW/KL7 from Alaska between July 9th and 13th. There will be 4 station locations, including KL7RA in Kenai, KL2R in Fairbanks, Two Rivers, KL7AA in Anchorage, and a 4th station, most likely in Homer. Be listening on various HF bands in all modes, including EME. Send QSLs via W1AW, Logbook of the World, or Club Log. In France, Patrick, F4GFE, and Frank, F4DTO, will operate as TM21 EURO, or Euro, until July 11th for a special event marking the EUFA European Football Championship that's underway until then. There's an award available and details are posted on QRZ.com. Send QSLs to F4GFE direct or by the Bureau. There are other EUFA special event call signs to listen for, including 4J21 Euro, UE2FA, and DL21 Euro. Mario, W4HBW, is active as VP5MA from Providencial Island until October. Listen for him on 20 and 15 meters using FT8. Send QSLs direct or via Club Logs OQRS. And our final story, we look at one ham whose plans for field day in his California community were a little different this year. Mike Askins, KE5CXP, explains.
Call it good timing, call it simpatico, or call it just plain clever marketing. With hams from the Ramona Outback Amateur Radio Society conducting their field day operations in an open lot next door to him, California storekeeper Peter Von Hagen chose that same weekend of June 26th and 27th to stage his business's grand opening. It is, of course, a radio store, and Peter himself is a ham with the call sign WA6HXM. Naturally, he's hoping that his inventory of amateur, CB, and commercial radios will enjoy a field day of their own because of the extra exposure of hams outside calling QRZ throughout the weekend. According to the local newspaper, the Ramona Sentinel, between 30 and 40 radio operators will be on the air to help the club score big. As a retailer and a member of the Ramona Radio Society, Peter knows the importance of trying to score big. He and his business partner will be trying to make some important contacts, too. Inside the store. Perhaps for that weekend alone, the business might just want to consider a name change temporarily from being called All Day Radios. With field day going nonstop for 27 hours, the scene will look a lot more like All Weekend Radios. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Mike Askins, KE5CXP.
With thanks to Amateur News Weekly, AMSAT, ARIS, the ARRL, British Antarctic Survey, CQ Magazine, CNN, David Behar, K7DB, DXWorld.net, FCC, NASA, Ohio Penn DX Newsletter, QRZ.com, the Radio Society of Great Britain, Ramona Sentinel, SAARC Evening Net, Southgate Amateur Radio News, shortwaveradio.de, Ted Randall's QSO Radio Show, WTWW Shortwave, Veron, the Wireless Institute of Australia, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. You can write to us at newsline@arnewsline.org. For more information or to support us, visit our official website at arnewsline.org. Be sure to follow some of these stories as they get a more in-depth look on the YouTube channel 100 Watts in a Wire. Search for the video segment with the title, News Stories. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW in Picayune, Mississippi, saying 7-3. And as always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2021. All rights are reserved.